just right out of the gate, I've got to get to this first. I'm taking you over to my, hold on, my glitter drawer, because I just want to get out of the way that there might be a little glitter problem. Hold on, whoa. All right, so I have a glitter drawer there out of this cabinet, and I'm going to walk you over here and show you the glitter cabinet. Yeah, this is the shelf of glitter, and there may or may not be other glitters stashed around the house. I'm just saying. Hi, everybody. This is Annette. Welcome into my craft room this evening. Tonight, I'm going to give you a quick tour of my space. I'll show you how I have things organized. I crafted for a really long time, and it was chaos for a very long time. So when I started to really think about organizing, ended up with this really fantastic cabinet, and am reorganizing this whole room and structuring it in a way that makes like logical sense for a crafter. But before I get started, I just want to say out there where are you from? Drop your state. If at any point when you pop in, put the kinds of projects that you work on, and I'll try and make sure that I get to those items in my room and across my box as we go. All right, so tonight you're going to see a couple of really cool things. I'm going to share the organization structure of my drawer. I'm going to share the zones that I have my space broken out into, and just some of the things that I apply to thinking about how to store. So I'm going to turn the camera around so that you can see. Actually, I'm going to do this. First, this is the main wall of my craft space. And if you haven't seen this kind of cabinet before, which is this is the original scrap box. Now I think it's called Dream Box. It's done by Create Room, and they're modular, and you can kind of adjust it for your own setting. But mine is fairly old, so this is the original scrap box. You can see it there, and it's very cool, and it has like a serial number. But each of these drawers are dedicated space for a very specific thing, so that I spend more time working on projects and less time searching for the pieces of those projects. So just as an example, I'm going to show you there's the glitter. And the only thing I did here is I actually changed this out for a plastic drawer instead of the drawers that came with this box, because it was easier to clean. And let's face it, I was dropping glitter everywhere, and the drawer was filled with glitter, and it was sticking to the fabric. So I changed this one out with plastic, but all the other ones are exactly the way they have, that they came. And I do it so let me get back to the basement. So I have the case here on the side, and next to my case, I have an area back here, which is really where I do resin. So there's a resin corner back here. I have tumbler spinners. So you can see here a tumbler spinner in action. I have a couple of those. I have my resin. This is the compound resin, so it's AB 1-for-1 parts. I have UV resin, but the lights are down there on the floor. And this is a curing box that helps keep things clean, and helps accelerate drying for the pour resin. I actually have some St. Patrick's Day items in there now, so next week, when everything turns green, we're going to have some green projects, and hopefully you'll be able to check it out. Hey, thank you, Michael. Thanks for sending stars. That's really sweet. But yeah, this is a crazy room, and there's a lot in here. So let me get back to this is the resin corner. And if you're just joining, I am doing a tour of my craft space and kind of the logic of how I have it laid out. And you're in my resin corner right now. So I have some things in there. You'll see those next week when we start talking St. Patrick's Day or St. Patty's Day. And I have some dryers here, but this is, and I have masks there because resin is quite stinky, and you should wear masks and gloves when you're working on those. I also have a fan around here that airs out the room a little bit, because you need really good ventilation when you're working with your resin. But when we get into specific resin projects and classes, you'll see those. Okay, so that's this corner, and then next to my sorry, I'm walking backwards, next to the wall that I have all of my drawers filled in. And then I have vinyl back here. So the way these, you know, this cabinet closes all the way up into like an armoire. And so behind one of the doors, I have all my vinyl. So I have HTV vinyl, and I have permanent and semi-permanent, and I even have dollar store vinyl, and just tons and tons of vinyl stored and stashed, I should say, right behind there. Right, so that's that space. And then as I turn around, ooh, there's another cabinet. This is not one of the Create Room dream boxes. This is a cabinet that I had in my dining room. We redid our dining room space, but certainly didn't want this to go to waste. So I put this in my room. And in this cabinet, aside from having a whole shelf of just glitter, I keep all of my surfaces in here. So you can see down here, I have, these are all sublimatable surfaces. So making mugs and making frosted glasses. There's cutting boards, a whole host of things. There's ceramic ornaments. So I keep all surfaces on that side. And then on this side, I have other surfaces that really are for vinyl and wood burning and things like that. So there's some vinyl surfaces here. These are for like UV DTF stickers. And I have a whole bunch more surfaces. So I try to use the furniture that I had around the house if we weren't going to use it the way it was intended. And then, like I said, I have this piece of furniture that's just phenomenal. So if you're just popping in, I'm giving a quick tour of my craft room so you can just see the logic in this space that I have it laid out in. All right. And then just as a quick tour here, I have things that are already done. So what I like to do is if I have something coming up, a coworker having a birthday or whatever things are happening, I try to have some things already done. And so for instance, there's a pen. Actually, that is a pen from the resin pen test that I did on my page that I think a lot of you might have seen. So I have some of those ready for gifts. And what I'll do is I'll just pull it off the shelf and customize it with my Cricut and put somebody's name on it. I have a whole bunch of Christmas ornaments. And these are from the molds that I keep next to me in my projects when I'm working on something bigger. And then I end up with a little box that has like a whole bunch of prepared molds and gifts ready to go. Oh, sorry, I'm doing this with one hand and it's, yeah, challenging. That was left over from Christmas. That's really pretty. And here are some like candle holders. And I had done this one I love. Did this candle holder, but I used in the glitter and the confetti. I put confetti in this one and I used a little message for the bottom. So that was adorable. Anyway. Okay, so that's this space here. All right, and as you go around, well, you always need, you know, food and drink. So you got that corner. Then over here, I have my heat press. Actually, all of my presses in the same spot. Can be very challenging to not blow a fuse. So you want to make sure you're only using one at a time. You know, the heat generating. Also, because I keep heat running in this room to keep this room warm for the resin. So in this area here, I try not to overload. Doesn't always work. Yes, sometimes I do blow out the power. But anyway, I have a Vevor heat press here. I have a Cricut mug press, which that's my second or third. I've burned through those. There's another press that's a tumbler press there, and I have a small one for you know, little handheld things or more sensitive things that can't really take all the heat. I also have the Cricut hand press too. That's a 12 by 12. So, and more vinyl, if you could believe that. So yeah, so I try to keep those inside. Then when I go to work on this stuff, I pull it out away from the wall. I open this door here, open the window, make sure there's good ventilation for when I'm using the heat press as well. And that corner stays fairly neat, well, until I'm using it. Then over in this corner, actually I have some things here that I didn't make. I never got to Valentine's Day sweatshirts and bags, but we have lots of little piles like that stashed around. Okay, then in this corner, I have a Vevor heat press which is the convection oven style. I've used the other heat presses and honestly have used them to the point where they were done and fried. So I ended up trying this one to see if it would last longer. Also, I had some finer, smaller things that I was sublimating. So I decided to get this oven. So things like pens like this, obviously way too small for a heat press, but I can lay it right on this, these bars across here and sublimate like, 10 pens at one time. So I really love that. So that's how I ended up with those. I also try to keep my UV DTF stickers here, to keep them away from moisture, because this is still a basement down here. So I try to keep the temperature good and the stickers, in good shape. And then I have some other tools that I used for that sublimation oven. And then as you get back around to that corner, standing behind you, or behind me, is that UV corner. So that essentially is the entire perimeter of the room. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. Hi, Patricia. And then just real briefly, I just want to show you the thought process behind all of the drawers. So in these drawers, there were shelves here that were the same. I took it out and put these smaller, again, I just tried to configure it a little bit for myself, and put small, tiny pieces there. And so there's little resin ducks and finger cots and pieces to the keychains that I make and whatnot, and all those little compartments. But the big compartments here, we have resin. This is UV resin. There's actually a lot of pieces that I use here related to the larger resin also. But I have most of the UV resin stuff in there. And then we have acrylic painting and watercolor painting and embroidery and scrap paper. And then a lot of painting stuff. Painting paper, stencils, paintbrushes, palettes, and canvas and ornaments. For those of you who don't know, I taught painting for a very long time, one-stroke painting primarily, and have a lot of painting materials, but have since, as you can see, expanded into many other things. I have ribbons, and truth be told, I have two drawers of ribbons that are accessible, and then I have several Rubbermaids that are in the other room. So I do have a ton of ribbons. And then here's resin molds. I always profess to use small resin molds on your workspace when you're working on a larger project. And these are the small ones that I have, that I keep accessible right next to my work table. Because here's my work table. Hold on, let me get a drink. Thank you. And then this is a bookmark, and then you have the buttons, which are super cute, and the earrings, which I've talked about plenty of times, round and square, and the barrettes, which I just started sharing with you this week, which I love. This is a cute one. This is a comb, and I've made one. I didn't like the color that I picked, but I could try and make that again if you want to see that in action. The pen molds that we did the pen test for, ornaments. Here's shamrocks for our upcoming occasion, and the little one for the votive. And here are all the earring pieces. So this is the small set that I like to keep close to my table. So when I'm working on larger things, no resin goes to waste. But I also have another whole box of molds up here of all the kitchen and all different shapes and sizes right next to the Muppets. All different shapes and sizes. And those are the larger pour resin projects that I have. Then on this other side, let's start at the bottom. I also am a really big proponent for wrapping things creatively to really elevate your project. So I have lots of different wrapping materials and mailing supplies so that you can get things delivered to people just in a really exciting and interesting way. Decorative bags and boxes and things like that. Because that really does matter when you want to elevate your project. I have lots of printers and lots of ink. So we have a lot of that. And here's more of that creative wrapping. These cellophane bags are really terrific. I put earrings in those and t-shirts and all different sizes. It just makes the gifts look elevated. Here are those earring cards where you would put your earrings, hang your earrings on them. Accent weights are another big way and fantastic with resin to either embed in resin or wrap around a resin gift, because resin glitters and shines so much. It's really nice to have. Oh gosh, what did I do here? Sorry, hang on. Okay, I got that drawer stuck. Okay, and then I have laminating, coloring, yes, regular coloring, mesh, and pipe cleaners and things to make wreaths. For those of you who've gotten a wreath from me, you know what I'm talking about. And then here I have a whole set of just blind date with a book. If you're not familiar with blind date with a book, it's something you might want to look up. Yes, I do. Hi, I do have I have enough crafts for the next 50 years, sure. We could have a zombie apocalypse and I could be crafting through the whole thing. These are all the items that I use for blind date with a book. If you're not familiar with that, you might want to Google blind date with a book. Maybe we can make one together on a different live. It's really fun. You just need a couple of different materials. I could get a list together and put them on my blog, and then we could sit and make them. And then just other little things in these side drawers, which are fantastic. I started putting these stickers on my projects when I put them in a nice box for someone. I put a handmade sticker on it, which I just thought was, again, elevates it and makes it, if you bought it on Etsy, it'd have a handmade sticker on it, so might as well. And then I got little care cards for the tumblers that I've been making. So we got that going. And then pens, like when can you ever find all your Sharpies? When can you ever find all your pens that you want to resin? When can you ever find all your highlighters? So have a great time organizing that. You can also see on this table, on this configuration, that my Cricut is on there and my Cricut Joy. So I have a large Cricut and a smaller Cricut. Excuse me. That I just have to pull out a little bit if I want to use them because, as you know, the cutting mat has to go through the back too. And then on the floor, I have water tumbler supplies on the bottom. There's a sewing machine under there. There's my hat press, as well as some more painting kits and storage for tumblers. So there's a lot here. And there's plenty to do. I think that maybe one of the next week, if we can get together live again, I'll do some green for the St. Patrick's Day. Sorry, I'm looking around the room at the same time that I'm thinking about what I want to show you guys. Okay, so current projects are related to St. Patrick's Day. So you saw those in here. We're gonna do reveals and make those together next week. I think also if you're interested in doing a blind date with a book, I can do a blind date with a book and show you how those get done. I have a couple tumblers that are ready to get sent out. So I have this little table here. When I'm ready and I'm done a project, I put it here on this table. That means it has to make its way upstairs and get mailed. So that's a new ad for me there. And I think that's probably everything about the space. So let me turn this back around. Okay. Hello. If you're just joining, we are just doing a little tour of my craft space and kind of the logic of the areas that we have. Here, I'll do that one more time. Let me just do one more quick view around the room. So if you're just joining, so this is my craft space. This is the cabinet that I use. It is from Create Room. It's actually the original scrapbook. It's the scrap box. It is one of the original Dream boxes. Dream box now is the line you'd be more familiar with. But that's what I have there. And then in this corner back here, I have a resin corner. So I have all the materials for resin, including my rotators. And by the way, this curing box is not on, but when it's on, it has like a fan and it keeps the resin at a good temperature. It also has a door on it that keeps hair and dust out of the resin. Yeah. And this is so that this turner can go through the door, and so that the turners can be in there too. So anyway, so that's the resin corner. This is the box. I have another cabinet over here, which is all surfaces for sublimation, tumblers for, you know, the tumblers. These are the tumblers that I use for those glitter tumblers that are over by the resin dryer right now. And so they're fun. And then this is my heat press area where I have a number of heat presses. Again, a recommendation I made earlier, which is don't plug them all in at the same time because you're going to blow your fuses, which I do all the time. But you have a couple there. And then over in this corner, I have the sublimation for small items for pens and things like that. And the last thing, and I'm getting to a spot. Hang on. Hello. Okay. The last thing I wanted to do was I got a couple of things while I was on vacation this week. And I wanted to share just a couple of molds that came in the mail. And I didn't even open them yet. But I remember what I got. So I know what I'm going to show you. So this is hardware for a keychain. And what I have in this one, I need a pair of scissors. Oh boy. Proof that I didn't pre-cut them. Okay, so what I have here are keychains. You see these? These are resin keychains. So we would pour just like the small mats that I keep around my workspace. But I made these the other day. And you guys probably, if you didn't see it on my YouTube channel, we made these on YouTube. But I made these keychains from flats, and we put glitter and UV resin and Cricut letters on there. But I thought, okay, what if I didn't buy the blanks and just made the piece into the shape with the glitter and resin to start? So I got those. It came with the hardware. They really look really beautiful. They're all different shapes and sizes. And I'm going to have to show you how those work and how they come out. But I love the quality of the mold. They're very thick. And they're all different sizes, not just this round one. So if I can start doing these with different shapes on there, that'd be pretty sweet. All right. The other thing I got, oh, check this out. I did open this one, so I don't have to cut this one. Look at this little resin keychain. Okay, that's a peep. My peep's on there. All right, I got another one. I got this set, and I'm sorry if you're going to see these and then you end up getting one for a present. Namely, Mom. I got this one, which is a cell phone stand. I don't exactly know how it works yet because I don't have it set up. But it's a flat stand. This is where your phone would go, and this is how it would hold it. So something like that. So I'm going to have to pour that and see if we can get it together. And if it comes together really nice, I'll do the reveal here so everybody can check it out. And then finally, I got this. Present company included will really like this one. Check these out. I got resin dog tags. Dog tags. Where then you go Cricut the name on there, phone number on the back, or whatever you want to put on the back, address, you know, and it comes with the hardware, with the ring to attach them to a collar, and I think that's really adorable. So we'll have to see how those go. Okay, so let's see. Mary wants to know, what are they hooked on? What are they hooked to on the tumbler? So on these tumblers, you know, there's a handle. These are tumblers, by the way, from Walmart. So they were like 99 cents. I think I even got these after Halloween because this is purple, which is a Halloween color. I think they were like 35 cents. They come with this handle on them, and they're gray. So what I did is I took the handle off, and that leaves a hole where the handle is, and I put a different color on so that it would match. And then the keychains, I used a cable tie and put that through the hole, and then cable tied whatever I wanted onto that handle there. And that you can put all kinds of stuff. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna show you. Hold on, I'm gonna take you to this drawer that I have here. So I buy in bulk. I get these pom-poms, which you see on this one that's already done. But I get some other things that are also really cute to attach to water bottles. So these are little flashlights, right? If it's for a coworker, sometimes I have these little badge holders, right? I pre-make some of those. I also have little can openers. And sometimes if I'm feeling energetic, I'll put somebody's name on it with a cricket. And then they'll have, you know, their bottle and their name and an opener and a powder puff and the whole bit. So, I just keep them stocked, and I get really creative at the last minute to see what I'm going to put on the water bottle. But I'll use these, which I'll show you. I use these cable ties, right? So you get them at the dollar store, like a package of 50 or something, and it goes right in the hole where the original fabric handle was. And it's so adorable. So anyway, I have, I'm going to share, if I can do this, Mary, I've never done this. Here, I'm going to show you, I'm going to share my link. That's the link to my website, which should help you find the instructions for how to do the UV resin part of that project. And then if you have questions, again, you can, just let me know. And I'll tell you the other things that I've hung off the side of here. Oh, also, when I gift this, I also fill it with the same color tissue paper of the stuff that I made. So if it's pink, I put a piece of pink tissue paper in there. It just really, it looks so good. It just elevates it. And sometimes I'll use a wine bottle bag and put these in a wine bottle bag. So, I don't know. The fun that we have in this room. So honestly, I really enjoy talking about this even though I can't hear anything else, I could see the questions on the screen. So I love it. And anybody else have any questions, just drop them in. Even if it's later and you're rewatching this, drop them in whenever you want. And I have one more mold that I wanted to show you, and then I think that's everything that I brought to share with you this evening. All right, hang on. I gotta cut one more mold open. So this one, for those of you who are familiar with, or maybe you're already working on Stanley tumblers or whatever. These are the name things that go across the tumbler. So the straw goes in there, and then this goes across and snaps into the lid of the, I know that sounds super complicated. It makes no sense. It didn't even make sense to me when I said it. So I'm going to make these, and then I'm going to show you what they're like. If I think I went through all the things that I wanted. So from there, I'm just going to close out and say, I'm going to work on a couple other projects. As we get closer to St. Patrick's Day, we're going to go full on green. We're going to make a whole bunch of green stuff. And have a lot of fun there. And so thank you so much for joining me this evening. I had a great time talking to you, and I hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.